So why does everyone always ask us what supplement should they be taking? Does that ever get on your nerves, Charlotte?
It depends on the person.
What do you mean by that?
Because for me, I think the most important thing when it comes to training, when it comes to recovery, leveling it all up, is making sure you have nailed those fundamentals first. If you are not getting your sleep in, if you're not drinking enough water, if you aren't training with intent as well and really pushing hard in your training to yield results, supplements aren't going to do a darn lot. Like, it's in the word supplement. It's to supplement a diet. It's to supplement a lifestyle. It's not the magic pill.
Oh, 100%. I always have it framed to me. I used to not recommend supplements to my clients purely because I wanted them to get their diet right first. And it was always very important to me to kind of see, okay, where are the gaps where we might need to supplement something?
Yeah.
For instance, if you look at their diet and they're not eating enough fiber, you're like, okay, maybe let's take a fiber supplement. Mm-hmm. But then my clientele would kind of look at, well, what supplements do you take? And then I'm like, well, I take X, Y, and Z. And then they kind of want to take that in order to get the same results as me or whatever it might be. But the truth is, your supplementation is very personal and bespoke to you, because naturally you might be missing out on some things within your diet. And until you kind of clean your diet up and find a pattern and a style of eating that you actually like, you're not going to know what things you need to supplement. Yeah. So that's always been a big one for me. So I guess Charlotte and I today really want to kind of break down what supplements should you be taking, why should you take them, what shouldn't you be. But again, it's more about educating you guys on kind of like what you should be taking and why you should be taking it. Yeah. And it's going to be very individual and bespoke. So let's kick it off with the one supplement that I think everyone should take, because it's near impossible to get from your food, and that's creatine. What's your personal experiences like with it, Charlotte?
Creatine is elite. And you know what? It's one of those supplements. There are a few supplements that I would recommend to people that I have noticed a significant difference in how I'm feeling based on what that supplement should do. Creatine is one of them. When I started taking creatine, I think I started consistently taking it back in lockdown. So I'd already been training consistently for years. I'd already been competing in sports consistently for years. And I started taking creatine. I felt like a superhero. I remember doing these workouts and I was like, I've got so much more energy. What the heck is going on? Like, I could just push so much more. And like, now, obviously, you know, I've been taking it every day for donkey's years now. But I remember at the start, when I first started to notice that difference, I was like, oh, yeah, this is cool. Yeah. This is cool. It's the most backed supplement on the market, right?
Most researched.
Yeah.
You actually get a noticeable difference. I mean, I remember when I first started taking it, I was a little bit younger. And I remember my personal best on the bench press, I must have been about 15 or whatever. And I was stuck at getting like 5 reps at 80, which I was, you know, it's not weak for a 15-year-old. But then I started taking it, and I think within 2 weeks, I was kind of getting up to like 8 or 9 reps. And I was like, God, is this like a steroid? Like, what is this? I
literally thought it was a steroid when I was younger. That's why I didn't take it till like later on. I remember literally Will McDowell telling me he started taking creatine. It's like, it makes your muscles grow really quickly. And I was like, steroids.
Yeah. And that's kind of the concerns. Like, a lot of people aren't aware of, you know, there's these kind of myths that have gone around, and, you know, oh, it's bad for your kidneys, it's bad for your liver, and, you know, it makes your hair fall out. But these are complete bullshit. I mean,
apart from the kidney thing.
The kidney thing, yeah, that's kind of more so related to something called creatinine levels, which is in association with the level of creatine you're taking, but it's more to do with the capability of how your body can process that creatine. So that is something maybe to pay attention to, especially if you're taking higher doses. If you're taking like 3 to 5 grams a day, great. But if you want to start to push up to get like the neurological benefits, where there's been more and more research has come out on creatine. So creatine is, you have a system in your body called the creatine phosphate system. And this is where through anaerobic exercise, so without oxygen, this is one of the main energy systems for explosive power. And this is stored in our muscles. So creatine is stored in the muscles in water. So when you take creatine, you have the illusion of you've actually got bigger, but all you really have is more creatine and water within your muscles, which gives you more kind of strength, endurance, and power output. So you can not, your muscles haven't got any stronger, they've just got more energy to push in the sets. But when you kind of look at the cognitive benefits, our brain actually also uses creatine too. So there's been more research over the past 5 years or so going into the cognitive benefits and for memory, focus, and like recovery from learning. And it's been a little bit more proven that you need to have higher dosages, maybe up towards the 10 to the 20 gram mark. Depending on how big you are. I mean, like, you know, a little person who's 50 kilos doesn't need to take as much creatine as a dude who's like 120 kilos, right? So it's all to kind of do with your proportions. And there's some calculators online which will kind of suggest how much creatine to take. But rule of thumb for muscle benefits is like 3 to 7 grams, depending on your body size, 7 grams being the upper end. But for cognitive benefits, there's no kind of like definitive answer, but it's probably 10 grams and over. And if you have some issues with processing creatine, it might be worth taking your bloods to see your creatinine levels and how it affects your body. But you should be, you can still get some advantages of taking low dosages.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, if you have any concerns about like regarding kind of your kidney and your liver health, like look at those first before you start taking it. Like, you know, at the end of the day, we're not doctors. It is, as I said, one of the most backed supplements. It's super safe. You have creatine in protein sources, right? You get creatine in through your food, but just not as much and not really enough if you're looking to kind of get those results. And I think that also leads on, like talking about kind of the cognitive benefits that creatine yields, like that recent research that has come out I think is really positive, because I think a lot of people before thought it was just like the bodybuilder supplement. Whereas now I'm getting a lot of like middle-aged women speaking to me, and like more kind of middle-aged people who just, you know, work out to benefit their lifestyle, and they're like, oh, I started taking creatine and I've noticed a difference, and it's really nice. It's really nice to see.
I think I've always recognised it. I think the Times or the Telegraph recently did an article on creatine. But I always notice like kind of more like people in their 50s and 60s, once there's an article published in the newspaper on a supplement and it brings it, everyone's sort of like, oh, I'm interested in this.
Mega dosing.
You know, but again, it's like, you know, there can be so many great supplements out there that people can take, but it is just worth doing your own research. But also bearing in mind, if you're taking your research from the company that is trying to sell that supplement, there's probably a lot of misinformation involved, because that's all sales tactics, right? So it's worth kind of diving into the scientific research and maybe looking at some studies of a supplement you're curious of taking, to actually kind of get some real world data, rather than, you know, signing up to creatinegummies.com and then selling you a fake supplement which doesn't have any creatine in it. You know, that's just an example, but this could be for any supplements. It doesn't necessarily have to be creatine. So doing your own research yourself will always really help out. But anyway, I think we've kind of discussed creatine enough. We're very big fans of it. But kind of moving into the next one is another very popular supplement is kind of protein powders. So kind of going over the types of protein powders we have. So we kind of got a whey form of protein powder. This is more of a fast release protein. And it's kind of is a derivative of dairy. Yeah, so it's extracted from milk. It's a fairly easy kind of process to extract the protein from milk. You know, if your stomach doesn't really agree with dairy, I mean, there's different types of forms. So you want to quickly go over the two types. So you got
whey,
isolate,
and then whey concentrate.
So concentrate doesn't agree with people's stomachs as much as isolate, right?
Yeah, it isolates. It's a weird one because it's more processed, but it basically, that processing just brings out a purer form of that whey. So if you struggle with like lactose intolerance, like for example, I used to, now for some reason my stomach's just like, yeah, whey's fine. Maybe it's just the quality of like the whey blend that I get, because you can get them where it's a blend of isolate and concentrate. The cheaper ones typically tend to just be kind of concentrate with maybe a sprinkle of isolate in there. But yeah, isolate is basically like a purer form of that specific protein. So you can get it if you were getting like a vegan one as well, like pea isolate or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you struggle to digest dairy and you're not really fussed over vegan proteins, give whey isolate a go. It's a little bit more expensive, but that's due to the kind of purity of it. And then you've got casein as well.
So casein is like a slower release.
Yeah.
It was used to kind of get marketed as like a slow release protein to kind of take before you go to bed, so it recovers the muscles through the night. And there's, to some extent, there would be protein synthesis that can kind of take place over a prolonged period, especially when you're going to bed and sleeping. So you've actually got some protein in your stomach can fuel your muscles throughout the night. There's more and more research kind of like, comparing people on one meal a day getting 150 grams of protein in that meal and comparing it to someone who's having 5 meals a day with 150 grams of protein spread throughout the day. The difference is there's probably a slight benefit to having more meals throughout the day for the muscle protein synthesis standpoint. But it's not crazy. And I think our bodies are very, very good at surviving on, the amount of nutrients you give it at certain times of day, whether that's one meal, whether that's 3 meals, whether that's 5 meals. Our bodies are quite impressive, and it's marketing tactics again from the protein companies saying, yes, you need to buy a whey protein for the day and maybe have a casein protein for the evening. Like, I don't think you don't need to delve into it that deep. No. Just hit your protein intake each day, and how you come to that. I mean, ideally, it's all from whole foods and food you're getting it from. And if you're really struggling to hit your protein intake, have a protein shake, or add some whey protein in with your cereal at breakfast, or adding it into some Greek yogurt, or adding it to your oats, or there's many ways of doing it. Having a smoothie with a scoop in, having what have I got there, the ice cream machine, Ninja Creamy, having protein ice cream
in your oats.
Yeah, there's loads of ways of doing it, and I've always been an advocate. I very rarely these days just have a protein shake, but I generally will have it, with my bran flakes or my Weetabix if I'm having that, or having it in with some oats and some frozen berries in a shake, and kind of making a meal out of the protein. But it can be a nice way to hit your protein intake.
Whey, get it?
Yeah, it's a nice way.
I like to make a little whey drizzle. So you mix the powder with a little bit of water and then pour it over oats and stuff. Also important to note with whey, one of the reasons it's one of the most popular, unless obviously you're vegan or lactose intolerant extreme, it's also a complete protein. So same with if you're getting your protein from like an animal source, animal sources and dairy are complete proteins. So if you are vegan and you are looking to get a vegan protein powder because you're falling short of your goals, try and ensure that you're getting one which is a blend, because sometimes you might get, say you're getting pea protein or just hemp protein, some of those are incomplete sources, and to kind of be able to recover and for that protein powder to do its job properly, you want to get it where it's got all of the amino acids in that you need. Yeah,
so what Charlotte means by, a complete protein is the building blocks of proteins are branched chain amino acids, and there's about 20 of them, 9 of which are essential. And of those essential amino acids, you've got about 3 which are really associated with protein synthesis, which is leucine, isoleucine, and valine. The issue with some plant proteins is you don't get that profile of the branched chain amino acids. So when we have vegans or vegetarians come on board, you just want to have a diverse source of proteins. You can still get an amazing shape being a vegan or vegetarian.
Game changers.
Yeah, I mean it's.
But
But yeah, you can. There's a lot of professional athletes who are. But they are having diverse sources of proteins. So for instance, I could probably get away getting all my protein one day from a few chicken breasts, right? But for a vegan, they might have to have a bit of tofu, a bit of lentils, a bit of chickpeas. They have to have a diverse range to get that complete protein and all the branched chain amino acids. But again, that is diving into the nitty and gritty of it. Most vegetarians and vegans, if you're hitting your protein intake, which is about 1.5 grams per kilo body weight, if you're training a few times a week, you might want to take that up towards 2 grams per kilo body weight if you're training quite vigorously as an athlete or getting up to 5 sessions a week.
Like us.
Yeah, I mean, but to be honest, 1.5 is kind of that sweet spot for most people.
Yeah.
Sometimes, anyway, I don't want to dive into protein too deeply.
We digress.
We're going to move on to vitamin D. Now, in England, we need more vitamin D, especially this time of year. I mean, it's been, do you know what? A fact for you guys. January was the wettest month since 1910. It rained every day in January in the UK.
It's so depressing. Oh my God.
So if you're feeling a little bit sad at the moment and a bit upset, not only is it because of the weather, but it might be because you're vitamin D deficient. It actually has quite a large effect on your mood being vitamin D deficient. So not only seeing the colour blue and it being warmer and sunnier has effect on your mood, it makes you feel more positive, but being deficient in vitamin D has effect on your mental health. So I think pretty much everyone in the UK from about late October through to maybe April should be supplementing vitamin D.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just such an easy fix. Now, benefit of vitamin D, it is actually a water-soluble vitamin. So you can take it at any time of the day. You can take it with an empty stomach, which is, beneficial. Oh, sorry. I am wrong on that. It's fat soluble.
K.
So A, D, E, and K. So I'm just fact checking myself because I get a little bit muddled with all of them. But so you want to take it with a meal. To be honest, most vitamins, before bed. But most vitamins you want to be taking with meals, just to kind of improve the digestion process. There are some which are water soluble. So you got vitamin C and vitamin B complexes. But most other vitamins and minerals are soluble with other fats, basically.
With D as well, a lot of people recommend as well you take it with K2, so D3 with K2.
A lot of supplementations, they combine the two,
other, right? Yeah.
So you can get a lot more out of it, and then, recommended dosages are about 1,000 to 4,000 IU a day. But again,
so varies per person.
When you're getting at such a high dosage of vitamins in a hit like that, it's quite difficult for your body to process it all. So it might be an idea to actually maybe take some in the morning, some in the evening, just to ensure you're actually getting that, and maybe splitting that dose in half.
And again, also, if you're in the financial position, or even if you can just do it at the doctors, get your bloods done, see where your vitamin D levels are at, because a lot of people, I used to get this when I used to work at Good and Green, that supplement store. You get a lot of people coming in going, oh, I'm really tired, I need some vitamin D, but actually you can also, so that is, being fatigued is a sign of a vitamin D deficiency, but it also can be a sign of taking too much. So you might have too much vitamin D. Unlikely, it usually is the latter, but it can be the case where you've taken too much, and that's not good either because it's a fat-soluble vitamin. You can't just pee it out like you can with vitamin C and B. So just, if you're in the position to, make sure you get your bloods checked. I had mine done recently, and my vitamin D is, and I supplement it every day.
You can still piss it out as long as you've had a meal.
Yeah.
If you're eating it on, if you've just got woken up in the morning, have absolutely nothing in your stomach, that's a bad time to take it. You want to have it after breakfast or with breakfast. So yeah, it just makes it a little bit more easily digested from the body.
Otherwise, medicine.
You're going to have expensive piss. Okay, so vitamin D, I think, is pretty important for us in the winter. But as we come into the summer months, less so. The only thing might be is if you just work indoors all day, and then when you're going outside, you're lathering yourself in loads and loads of sun cream, maybe still supplementing it.
Vampire.
But yeah, that's only if you're a vampire. But yeah, winter is important. Okay, anyway, so kind of moving on to magnesium. Magnesium is a great supplement.
It's a fantastic supplement.
It's one that you actually notice a real difference in your sleep quality when you start taking it frequently. It helps your muscles relax more in the night, which can help you fall into deeper and REM sleep, which is really interesting. So I mean, magnesium's been around for ages, and again, one of the ones we would really strongly suggest people start taking of an evening. But to be honest, it stays in your body, I believe, for around a 24-hour period, if not longer. So the timing is not so important as long as you're taking it in on a daily basis. But as it's a nighttime supplement, it's kind of easy just to take it at night.
So good for your central nervous system as well. Like in terms of if you're someone who kind of leads a pretty stressful life, it can really help just like regulate that central nervous system as well. So if you
regulate your cellular,
regulate your if you find yourself being quite fleety, and also a lot of studies shown with neurodivergence as well, like people with ADHD, it's a really good supplement to take. So anyone out there who's struggling with that, or if you've got like kids that struggle with that, it's a good one.
So I've got information here on why deficiency happens in magnesium. So high caffeine intake is associated with deficiency in magnesium, which is new to me. So if I knew it's associated with chronic stress, but yeah, high caffeine. So those people who are drinking, 3 or more cups of coffee a day, really, really important for you to kind of take some more magnesium within your diet. But also, I mean, that
cans of white money.
Yeah, that level of caffeine is going to be affecting your sleep too. So your half-life of caffeine is about 6 to 8 hours. Okay, so that's how long half of it is active in your system. But then it's your half-life, right? So really, it takes about 12 to 16 hours to leave your system. 16 is the top end, but think of it as 12, right? You should probably stop taking caffeine at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of you are not doing that. And that's affecting how deeply you sleep at night. Not only getting to sleep, but how deeply you sleep and the REM sleep and the quality of that sleep. So I think, caffeine is another supplement that I enjoy. I really, really, for me, being more productive is a good day, like getting stuff done. It is a performance enhancer. So you could generally, people who are caffeinated versus people taking placebo will perform harder and more intensely in workouts. There's a slight pain reduction you have when you're caffeinated and highly stimulated. So you end up pushing harder through the sets. With endurance athletes, it's a little bit more skewed because the heart rate can become too elevated. So kind of people going on really long runs, not so beneficial. I think probably like 5 to 10K is probably your limit on that. But yeah, caffeine, I've always enjoyed it. It's just using it in moderation and not requiring it in order to work out.
Not being dependent on it, right?
Yeah, I went through a phase of taking far too much pre-workout, and it's just like everywhere.
You and Harrison used to take.
No, Sam and we had the Ultra Smash Your Mother, which was a scoop of Jack 3D, a scoop of Calamon Voga's Koala Freak, and a scoop of C4. And
what was that one that had like those weird illegal ingredients you didn't realise?
Oh, that was Jack 3D. Jack 3D. There was illegal ingredients in there. You were stimulated. So we would have maybe it was a scoop of each. So it was 3 scoops. The Ultra Smash Your Mother was so strong that I would literally take it at like 12 or 2, have a midday workout, and I'd be awake until like 2 or 3 at night.
Rays as well.
Rays, yeah. Yeah, Rays, it had alpha GPC in it.
Strong.
And some other nootropics.
That's why you can't get it anymore, isn't it?
No, alpha GPC is still legal and everything. Yeah. It's quite a good one for focus. But there was other nootropics. It said nootropic blend on those. It was Rays, I think, that energy drink.
Rays, the really
and
nice one.
Oh my goodness, it was only 200. Like I say, only 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is quite strong. Yeah. Or maybe it was 300 milligrams of caffeine a Rays.
I remember it being very strong.
Yeah, it was.
We used to share cans, and it was.
Yeah, I mean, half a can would do you.
Crazy shit.
But I mean, I almost started a business up. I loved that drink so much. Sam and I remember pitching to this guy who owned a supplements company, saying, "Look, we need to start our own drink." I was that hooked on that stuff.
So good.
But you know, that was a 19 or 18-year-old guy obsessed with an energy drink. So I've done the pre-workout life. I don't really. Sometimes I take like a pump formula, but non-stim. I'd rather just stick with caffeine for my workouts. But they're effective. I mean, what are your thoughts on?
I love a pre-workout.
Yeah, you prefer them more to me.
I mean, yeah, for me, because I train legs so much, it's just like, I don't always use it. Like sometimes I will just use kind of like, there's one thing that I take is marketed as fat burner. It's not a fat burner. It's just like a pre-workout, but it's not got all of the kind of nootropics in it. It's mainly just caffeine. Yeah. Sometimes I will just take that. But I've been noticing recently, I think there's a time and a place for taking kind of like a pre-workout or a pump formula. So if there's specific places that sometimes you feel like you struggle to connect with, sometimes I think a pump formula can be efficient, just getting open up those blood vessels, getting more blood flow into this kind of specific areas that you're trying to target. But that's for people who are literally have been lifting for a really long time. That's when you're trying to get really specific. But I think sometimes it's good to take as a pick-me-up if you're training earlier on in the day. I think pre-workout can be good, but I wouldn't force it down anyone's throat.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like it's a give or take thing. Generally, pre-workouts are much more popular for people who are in their teenage years or their 20s.
Monsters, man. Everyone who goes to my gym and Tommy Joel's, so many monster cans around.
Yeah, it's just the caffeine. But I think the caffeine and the beta alanine is a great ingredient for improving the pumps and getting more blood flow to the muscles and maybe enabling you to push a bit harder. But there's a few other ingredients within pre-workouts that can work quite effectively. But
L-citrulline, glycine, stuff like that.
Exactly. But is it necessary for you guys? Probably not. You're better off, having a cup of coffee or maybe a white monster type thing or a caffeine pill if you need that boost to push hard. But realistically, getting some good energy in before you work out, getting some like either slow release carbs 2 hours before, fast release carbs 30 minutes before, you're going to have an effective workout.
Chocolate digestives, like you said.
Yeah, I've had some chocolate digestives recently before my workouts.
I love digestives, man. They're such a good biscuit.
Anyway, we kind of went off on a whim there into the
caffeine. We weren't even talking about caffeine.
We weren't supposed to, but it's a great one for you guys.
It is a supplement. It is, it's something that we use.
So, omega-3s. So, I'm quite an advocate of people taking omega-3s because a lot of people don't eat enough oily fish. Or they think they do, but they probably don't eat enough. So an omega-3 for me, it's great for brain function, bone health, joint health, heart health,
reducing inflammation.
Yeah,
as well.
Big one on reducing inflammatory markers. So you need to be eating kind of like fatty fish, like mackerel, salmon. Trout works as well, but any sort of fatty fish you're going to be getting a lot of omega-3s from, and 2 to 3 times a week would be the recommended dose to hit your omega-3s. And most people maybe have it once a week, maybe twice, so it could be an idea to supplement some of that in. So B vitamins, especially B12.
B12 is a big one.
So the main functions are kind of like energy production, red blood cell formulation, and nervous system support. So who really needs it? Vegetarians and vegans certainly need it.
Massively.
older adults and maybe some people with some gut issues and absorption issues. But you know, it mostly comes from meat, and if you're eating adequate meat, red meat especially, you're going to be getting adequate vitamin B12 in. Sure. But you know, if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, it's a very important supplement to introduce into your life. What's your experience with vitamin B supplements? I mean, you probably haven't used them.
I haven't really used them that much because my B levels are usually okay. I think I supplemented B12 a little bit. Was it B12? Yes. I think so, a little bit when I was in prep, when I was feeling quite fatigued. But apart from that, I've never really needed it because I've always just had enough energy from the diet that I've maintained, really. But I know a lot of vegans, and it is really important for vegans to take.
100%, because you can't get it from any plant foods, so it's only from animal sources, good sources, like eggs is really high in vitamin B12.
Yes.
So kind of going into iron, an iron supplement. We got
for God's sake,
a car alarm going off outside.
You guys.
So iron, why do people take it? So kind of oxygen transport around the body and energy levels. Now, it is important for endurance athletes to take, menstruating women and people diagnosed with anemia. Other than that, I mean, this is a real one you need to kind of get your bloods on. It's quite hard to identify if it is an iron deficiency, if you're low on energy. So that, again, get your bloods tested and see if your iron levels are high or low, especially if you're low on energy. Like, we got one of our members at the moment with low iron levels and supplementing it. But the difficulty with anemia is sometimes you can't even you're supplementing it.
Your body might not absorb it.
Your body can't absorb it and process it correctly. So it can be most people don't need to supplement iron, but there's a limited amount of people.
Some people, I think a big telltale sign usually is if you're taking too much, it makes you really constipated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Your poos go black.
All the good stuff. All the good stuff.
Hell yeah.
So zinc, is it needed? No, I used to take a supplement, ZMA. Zinc. So zinc, magnesium, calcium. Oh, no. What was the A in zinc? ZMA.
ZMA.
I think it is calcium. I'm not too sure. I just took it for the zinc and magnesium, but I always assumed it was calcium, but it's probably not.
Maybe it was vitamin A.
But anyway, zinc's great for immune health, testosterone production, and skin healing. Again, deficiency happens when you're low on red meat and shellfish intake, if you're very stressed and you sweat a lot. So again, if you're not doing any of those things and you're, eating adequate red meat and shellfish throughout the week, and you're not very stressed and you're not heavily sweating, it's probably not a great idea to supplement zinc. But, it's worth experimenting with if you are some of those things, taking it and seeing how you feel. So kind of lastly is like soluble fiber supplements. You've got me on my own now because Charlotte needs to go and coach some people, but soluble fiber is a big one which I've been experimenting with the past year or so. So I've been using some psyllium husk and glucomannan, which I've really found has helped my digestion. Now, I've always kind of suffered with stress and digestive issues. And since I've increased my fiber intake up to about 40 grams a day, 40 to 50 grams a day, I've noticed a massive difference in, going to the toilet visits and also my satiety throughout the day. I'm noticeably more full and I'm more content eating less when my fiber intake is higher. So does everyone need to supplement fiber? Certainly not. I think if you're eating adequate fiber in your diet, plenty of fruit, plenty of vegetables, beans, pulses, etc., you can get, a substantial amount of fiber in your diet from that. But if you are really struggling to hit your fiber intake, or wanting to experiment of what it would, what it feels like to go a little bit higher with your fiber intake, I think it can be a great idea. For me, it certainly helped out, because I used to kind of go for the standard 25 grams a day. And now, since I've pushed up towards 40, 35 of that is diet. And then I'm supplementing maybe like an extra 5 to 10 grams extra a day from supplements. And I've really noticed a difference. But look, the thing is with supplementation, you can't just go off my own personal opinion with it. It's definitely benefited me. Will it benefit you in the same way? Probably not. Everyone's body is very, very different. So it's worth experimenting and seeing how you feel. One thing I've noticed, like getting people onto higher fiber diets, is if they make that jump too quickly, their stomach has real difficulties processing that level of fiber, because it's very fibrous. It's water soluble. You need to drink more water. Your stomach cannot get that, is not very used to it. So going from 10 grams of fiber a day up to 40, you're going to have some digestive issues. So it's something you want to kind of increase incrementally over a sustained period of time. Let's say going up by about 5 grams every other week of fiber intake until you're kind of getting up to where you need to be. But I think the better question to kind of come to with fiber intake is, you should really be pushing to get it in your diet. And you've got to ask yourself, why are you not hitting your fiber intake at the moment? Because it's generally very, very healthy food sources that you're going to be getting that from. It's, it's your vegetables, it's your fruit, it's your whole grains, it's your legumes, it's your beans, etc. These are foods that should be a staple of your diet to kind of live a long, healthy life. So you should really be looking into that. And, tracking your nutrition is a great place to start, because some people call it calorie tracking. It's not calorie tracking. You're tracking your macros, you're tracking your micros, and you can see where those deficiencies are. And that's going to really be how you're going to find the best supplement plan for you. Not only getting your bloods tested, it's going to cost you £100, but tracking your food religiously for a month and then looking through your diary and thinking, oh shit, I'm not eating enough vitamin A or vitamin K, or I'm low on fiber, or my protein intake's low, whatever it might be. It's really, really worthwhile doing. So kind of like last one is a multivitamin, and this is kind of like, it's probably the most overused supplement, because again, do you need to be taking a multivitamin if you're adequate in everything else in your diet, but maybe only deficient in vitamin B12 or vitamin A? So, it's most of the time it's useless, but as I guess a psychological, at least I'm just taking a multivitamin if I'm missing out on anything. Yeah, it can work. It's helpful during times of high stress. Your intestines and they really, really struggle when you're in high stress mode, and they can sometimes not do such a great job of extracting all the nutrients and micronutrients out of the food you're digesting. So then, yes, if you're very high stressed, take a multivitamin. Also, in heavy calorie restriction, maybe if you're trying to lose some body fat a little bit faster, maybe you're pushing up to a 700 to 1,000 calorie deficit, and you're trying to lose some weight, you're not probably going to be getting all the micronutrients in your diet, so a multivitamin can help. Now, the thing is with a multivitamin, you need to be taking it with a meal. Most of the vitamins A, D, E, and K are all fat soluble. So having it with your breakfast meal, which has a solid sort of fat and protein and carbs within that, that's going to really kind of help with the digestion process and nutrient absorption. But an even better approach would probably be taking a multivitamin in the morning with your breakfast and a multivitamin in the evening with your dinner. That way you can ensure that you might be kind of extracting more of the micronutrients out of the vitamins rather than pissing a lot of it out, which does sometimes happen if you're having it on an empty stomach. So guys, I mean, supplements, it's a minefield. Those are the ones I would probably suggest are the most important for you guys to take. Ashwagandha, it's just, another one which can potentially help with testosterone production by improving sleep quality. Is it the ashwagandha itself that boosts testosterone, or is it the improvement in sleep quality? I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not even too sure if the people selling ashwagandha are too sure. This is all kind of goes back to, if you want to be a healthy person and improve your quality of life and your quality of health, you need to get the basics right first before you start worrying about the supplementation. You want to focus on, can you get to sleep at the same time each night and wake up at the same time in the morning? Get your body to have a familiar routine and a bedtime ritual. Improve your sleep quality, because sleep is the most important thing when it comes to health. Then you really want to dial in your training routine, making sure you're getting 1 or 2 sessions minimum of strength training in a week, and 1 or 2 high intensity cardio sessions within the week as well. So probably about 4 sessions minimum there. And they don't have to be incredibly long, 30 minutes to 40 minutes, that will do the job. But really, really kind of important to kind of build a fit, healthy body. So then looking at the nutrition, like, are you hitting your fiber intake? Are you hitting your protein intake? Track your food. Make sure you have got all the right micro and macronutrients in your diet. It's so important. And then you can look to supplement. Also, how can you work on reducing stress? Another really, really important factor with nutrient absorption is, a lot of people who are high stress, they're not absorbing all the nutrients from their body. So how can you look to help reduce stress? Can you do some journaling? Can you read a book? Is there any activities? Can you go for more daily walks? Is there elements of your life you can remove? High stress people, can you get away from that? Really working to reduce that. Can you be around really good, nice people that bring energy to your life, that you can talk to about your problems and talk to you about your stress? Having an element of community around you. Hitting your water intake. Like, are you drinking enough water on a daily basis? Are you drinking? It's about 25 per 25 kilos of body weight. You want to be having 1 liter of water. So if you're 100 kilos, you want to be having about 4 liters of water. That's for exercising individuals. So these are areas of your life you can have control over right now, and focusing on sleep, training, nutrition, managing stress, being around good people, and hydrating efficiently. Then once you have those dialed in and get the basics right first, then you can start to really look into the supplementation of where you might need additional bits due to problematic areas in your life. Supplements are called supplementation for a reason, right? Anyway, I hope you've found this helpful. I've kept this rather short and sweet for you guys today, and I hope it's been an easy listen, but also an informative listen. If you drop us a follow on Total Barnage, we release 2 episodes per week, and you can also follow us on our social media pages, which are tagged below. Thank you very much for listening, and I will catch you in the next episode.